The Earth is teetering toward climate crisis. And it is the ocean, more than anything, that keeps the balance. But emerging science shows the ocean's ability to absorb carbon and regulate temperatures is changing in ways we don't understand. It is a change that is not yet accounted for in climate targets, and a risk we can no longer afford to take. The time has come to transform climate action. The Transforming Climate Action Research Program will be the most intensive investigation ever undertaken into the ocean's role in climate change. Led by Dalhousie University in partnership with Université du Québec à Rimouski, Université Laval, and Memorial University, and with the historic support from the Government of Canada, Transforming Climate Action will take an ocean-first approach in the fight against global warming. This first-of-its-kind research program will reduce uncertainty by increasing our understanding of the changing ocean's role in climate change. Mitigate climate change by partnering with industry to develop safe ocean-based carbon removal technologies and enterprises, creating new jobs and economic opportunities for Canadians. And develop adaptation solutions to help Canadian people thrive as the climate continues to change. Based on the latest science, developed through community collaboration and informed by Indigenous ways of knowing, Transforming Climate Action will give us the knowledge, innovations, and solutions we need to secure a positive climate future. Learn more at transformclimateaction.ca.
You know, I never get tired of watching that video. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Alice Aiken. I have the great pleasure of being the Vice President for Research and Innovation here at Dalhousie and your MC for today's festivities. I'd like to begin this afternoon's events by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki. We live, work, and play on ancestral and unceded land that belongs to the Mi'kmaq people, the First Peoples of Nova Scotia. As we seek to build a more inclusive community, we remember that we are all treaty people. I also want to recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched this part of Mi'kma'ki for 400 years. This acknowledgement is especially important as we embark on transforming climate action. We are very fortunate today to have Elder Thomas Christmas from Eskasoni here to offer us a welcome on behalf of the Mi'kmaq community. Elder Christmas.
I don't think you'd hear me very well if I left the mic here, right? Is it really? Yeah. Holy echo. Dr. Aiken, thank you very much. And Dr. Anya Waite, thank you very much. I understand that everybody's working well together. To achieve something like this is fantastic. And to include my people from Mi'kma'ki is another good thing. It's a great thing. As Dr. Aiken said, welcome to Mi'kma'ki. And I say, Chilida, Mi'kma'ki Bejidayo. Well, there's Imsid Bejidayo. Achwal dazi borne morg, Imsid Norma. Achwal dazi Kedu borne madmo, Sitramu, Ach Sangon. Nigma, Imsid Mi'kma'ki. Sa Wegudaso Dan Sangon Telasik, Atem Bilwasi, Sitramu. Ordnoa, on screen nook, what nook screen nook, Satelloid kiss, Pemebu, Citramon. Dalhousie kiss Mount Madnamo, Wajariga, Quebec, Darmcook, Evergreen, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. I could do it away. Someone, Dante knew that was a trouble. Uncle Edmund, don't you take Kiga, in someone, Jessic. If I can, I am asking you to rise so I can say an opening prayer. Kisu Kolaliak, Kolalia Dantele Bonamaji Squidno, a Bonamasutno, a Habonamano, Squidno, Danodadit, a Bonamasudi. A Kolali, the dear will get a Hadaway, Mujilane, one ache, Kisna Elmiat. Kiji Mujile, Gonushkuda, Gari Modi Jigmano. A whole Darcy, possible Darcy, Dantesi, or Imodio. I would like to ask the Creator to help everybody that is here, keep them safe. Some of you have traveled a long distance. Some of you just jumped out of bed and you were here. But this endeavor you're doing is fantastic. It's something the elders had always spoken about. And I wish that all of you will cooperate with one another, because this is quite an endeavor. When you have 5 provinces getting together to do this study, but I think you're going to find that what my people have seen in the past is true. The animals have changed how they go about their business. There's been a lot of changes. But I personally thank you for being able to do the study. And hopefully it won't take 10 years. I realize that doing a study is quite, as I was talking to a young lady this morning, I fully understood how long it would take. And to do the summary, another 5 years. So we might be looking at something as long as 10 years. But you're going to find that we have already predicted the future. Thank you very much for listening to this old man. And I thank each and every one of you for being able to do this study. And I hope you guys have a nice day. I will see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder Christmas, for that welcome and your inspiring words. I'm so pleased to welcome you all here today to Dalhousie to celebrate a research program that truly has the opportunity to turn the tide on climate change. It is a research program made possible with the historic support of the Canada First Research Excellence Fund, and we're happy that our colleagues from the Government of Canada are here to help us celebrate, as well as many other key supporters. I specifically want to wish a very warm welcome to the Honourable Sean Fraser, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, and Member of Parliament for Central Nova, the Honourable Senator Stan Kutcher, the Honourable Andy Fillmore, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry and MP for Halifax, the Honourable Brian Wong, Minister of Advanced Education for Nova Scotia, the Honourable Tim Holman, Minister of Environment and Climate Change for Nova Scotia, Lyra Carr, the United States Consul General in Halifax, Catherine Blewett, the Deputy Minister of Economic Development at Innovation, Science and Industry Canada and President of the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, and Stephen Leslie, the CEO of Research Nova Scotia. Je tiens également à remercier nos collègues de nos partenaires institutionnels, Université du Québec à Rimouski, Université de Laval et Memorial University, qui ont tous dû se déplacer aujourd'hui pour nous rejoindre et nous aider à célébrer. Ce projet nous unit dans un effort pour concentrer l'attention et l'énergie du monde sur l'importance primordiale de l'océan dans le but de déterminer les politiques et les solutions climatiques. Together we will shift the global discourse and become leaders in the transformation of climate action. Ce programme alloue un financement important à la recherche dirigée par les Autochtones et s'appuiera sur les connaissances profondes et sur les recherches conduites par des chercheurs autochtones sur les communautés et sur les organisations dans le domaine du changement climatique, de l'atténuation de ce changement climatique et de l'adaptation au changement climatique. Indigenous-led research partnerships will ensure the science and policy recommendations that come from transforming climate action are guided by Indigenous values and traditional knowledges. I'd now like to invite our friend and MP Andy Fillmore to share some remarks.
Well, hello everyone. It's wonderful to be back here at Dal. My name is Andy. I have the great privilege of being the MP for Halifax and the Parliamentary Secretary to Canada's Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology. Elder Christmas, thank you so much for starting us off today. And it's always lovely to see you in beautiful Chibuktuk. Welcome to U.S. Consul Lyra Carr and Senator Kuchar. Wonderful to see you, a science champion in the Parliament of Canada. I want to say welcome also to Ministers Fraser and Hallman and Wong that are here, and where so much of the good work happens in government, a warm welcome and thank you to Deputy Ministers Blewett, McEachern, and Farmer that are here today. And I saw Melanie Nadeau from Cove, and I know that Stephen Leslie is here from Research Nova Scotia. Bienvenue aussi nos amis de Laval, bienvenue à Halifax. And of course, gratitude and thanks to Drs. Harvey, Aiken, and Waite, and the whole DAL team, including Laura and Bronwyn, for making us so welcome and comfortable here today. It's a great pleasure to be back on the campus for me, and for all of us, I expect, to speak with some amazing people who are really putting Canada on the cutting edge of scientific discovery in the world. And you know as well as I that science and research hold the key to solving some of the most urgent challenges in the world today. It's the key to a better, more equitable future for all of us. And that's why we're investing at historic levels to support Canadian research in science. And while I acknowledge that there's more work to do there, we are investing in areas of strength to keep the discoveries flowing, to create jobs, and to keep Canada competitive on the world stage. One of our flagship initiatives in support of these goals is the Canada First Research Excellence Fund, or CFREF. The fund is designed to help Canadian post-secondary institutions like Dalhousie, like Laval, to compete with the best in the world for talent and for partnerships. It provides the impetus for institutions to reach their peak and to make discoveries and excel internationally in areas that will provide long-term economic benefit to all Canadians. All of which is why I'm excited to share that the latest round of successful CFREF initiatives includes research being led right here at Dalhousie University. That means more than $154 million will be devoted to an initiative called Transforming Climate Action, Addressing the Missing Ocean. So congratulations. It's an initiative that undertakes critical research in our fight against climate change by seeking to better understand how our oceans respond to the evolving climate crisis. It's something that Dr. Waite here at DAL and many others at DAL have taught me so much about. So again, warm congratulations to the research teams here at DAL and all of your partners as well. Supported by the Canada First Research Excellence Fund is a total of 11 initiatives like this one. They're sharing close to $1.4 billion across the country over the next 7 years in what is the largest investment in this program to date. Across the country, other projects will help us to treat and prevent diseases of the brain and heart, revolutionize materials discovery through AI, robotics, and advanced computing, make integration into Canadian life more inclusive and equitable and resilient for immigrants. And another one of my favorites, next to oceans, of course, Anya, as a city planner, an initiative to realize resilient and decarbonized communities. With funding mechanisms like CFREF, we're seizing opportunities to create long-term, sustainable, inclusive growth that builds on the unique and growingly competitive advantages of the Canadian economy. Now, I'm going to invite Minister Sean Fraser up in a moment to tell us more about this, but before I do, I just would like to say a few words about Sean. Sean, as you know, is the Minister of Immigration in Canada, and immigration is very important to Dalhousie, but it's important to all of us. And we all know that there have been some fairly significant challenges associated with achieving our ambitious immigration targets. Some of them seemed intractable at times. But I can tell you, as the Member of Parliament in Nova Scotia, whose office handles the most immigration casework because we're the capital and where newcomers are coming, the strides that Sean has taken in the last 2 years are resolving these problems. We've seen cases moving more quickly. We've seen barriers removed. Sean, under his leadership, the department has reinvented itself, and we're on a very good path with him at the helm. Sean's also a guy who can deliver a beautiful speech without reading a note, something I can't do. You'll hear from him right now. He's a Dalhousie alumni. Sean was also very instrumental, along with Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne, in getting this funding across the finish line, Sean, so big thank you for that. Sean is the MP for Central Nova and Canada's Minister of Immigration. Sean Fraser.
Look, I'll give the $20 to you after the event, Andy. Very, very kind of you. Bonjour tout le monde, c'est un plaisir d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. Merci pour être là. Gwe nin Dalhousie, Sean Fraser, well, dosi gisk de Guyana. It's so good to see so many people here to celebrate what I understand to be the single largest public investment in research in the history of this institution. Before I get too far to describe the importance of investing in research, and particularly climate research, let me just reflect back my gratitude to Andy for his work to help get this project done. I'm telling you, the number of times that we've been able to advance projects in Halifax because we've got a local member of parliament who's willing to sell this city, it makes it easy, folks. You look over the course of the last number of years at the Idea Hub here at Dal, look at the Ocean Supercluster, look at today's announcement, and the many that have happened in between. These things don't happen by accident. They happen because they have strong advocates for the city in which the investments are destined toward, and the institutions. And as also an alumni of the university, I can tell you Andy's advocacy has gone an awful long way. Folks, it's essential that we pull every lever that we have to address the climate crisis. We're working very closely with the provincial government, Ministers Wong and Holman, it's good to see you guys here, to make sure that Nova Scotia takes advantage of the opportunity of a lifetime that is staring us in the face right now. I don't need to tell this crowd who lived through Hurricane Fiona like I did last year that the cost of climate change are too great to ignore. My parents' property lost about 5,000 trees last year, and it still looks like the hurricane hit us yesterday. What happened in northern Nova Scotia last year, I fear, is just a harbinger of things to come. We realize whether it's storm surges and hurricanes on the East Coast, heat waves in Quebec and Ontario, forest fires that are currently ravaging Western Canada, atmospheric rivers that have done untold damage to communities in British Columbia. We need to take action, and we need to take action quickly. But to understand what actions we need to be taking, we need the research community to lead the way. $154 million through this partnership with Dalhousie University, Memorial Université de Québec, Rimouski, et Laval Université de Laval aussi. C'est une opportunité énorme et essentielle de prendre maintenant The reality is, folks, we won't just benefit from reducing the costs of climate change to our communities by better understanding the role that the ocean can play to reduce our emissions. It's going to create economic opportunities for the people who live in Nova Scotia now and those who will soon call this province home. The reality is we have companies in this province right now that are leading the world when it comes to emissions reduction technology or carbon capture technology. Look at the work that's going on just across the harbor with Carbon Cure, who's sequestering carbon and strengthening concrete at the same time. There are companies that are establishing graphene-based paint for the hulls of boats that are reducing their fuel efficiency, or improving their fuel efficiency rather, by 20%. That's providing a solution that will help reduce emissions across the world. The fact is we're seeing people move back home who moved away to seek economic opportunity because the economic opportunities of the future are going to be in the province where they first came from. This is a moment for us to be proud, not just as alumni of Dalhousie University, not just as representatives of the federal government who's investing in research, but as people who are part of a trend in Nova Scotia that are embracing the economic opportunity of climate change. I'm so pleased to be here to be able to support the institution, to be able to support my colleague on the occasion of this announcement, but more importantly, as somebody whose first engagement in political life was as the vice president of the Environment Club in grade 2 at my elementary school, this has been a passion of mine for an awful long time, and it's made possible by the people here in the research community in the city of Halifax and all of the partners involved. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you. Merci tout le monde. C'est un plaisir d'être ici.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Minister Fraser, Parliamentary Secretary Fillmore, and thank you, Elder Christmas. I always enjoy your warm welcome to Mi'kmaq territory, and you played such an important role in, I think, close to around many of the 23 convocations we had last year. So I just want to warn you that convocation season is coming up, so it's gonna be great to see you again. We are so pleased that so many of our government partners and supporters have been able to join us for today's celebration. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Frank Harvey. I have the privilege of serving as Dalhousie University's acting president and vice chancellor. Thank you all for being here today. Merci tout le monde pour être parmi nous aujourd'hui. It is wonderful to have the opportunity to celebrate this historic event. I want to echo Dr. Aiken's words of welcome, especially to our colleagues from Université de Québec à Rimouski, Université Laval, and Memorial University, Newfoundland. One of the most remarkable aspects of transforming climate action as a project is its collective approach, reaching across academic disciplines and provinces, institutions, and languages, and guided by Indigenous values and traditional knowledges. Transformation Action Climatique rassemble plus de 170 chercheurs et chercheuses parmi nos universités, favorisant la collaboration à travers plusieurs domaines et créant une alliance cruciale et importante entre les universités francophones et anglophones. It has also garnered support from 40 national and international partners and collaborators across 8 countries, including the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, Geomar Helmut's Center for Ocean Research in Kiel, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NASA, and Canada's Ocean Supercluster. C'est ce genre de collaboration qui permettrait à Transformation Action Climatique d'avoir un impact positif sur un niveau national et global. This project will solidify our nation as a leader in ocean carbon capture. It will benefit Canadians through knowledge mobilization, advancing public policy, collaboration and entrepreneurship, and the commercialization of research supporting economic growth and social innovation. Transforming climate action will also allow the development of people-centric adaptation solutions to help Canadian and global communities succeed in an uncertain climate future. We have so many champions and partners and stakeholders to thank. So I want to begin by thanking and congratulating our outstanding team at Dalhousie University who worked tirelessly on this application, and much more importantly, who will now take on the important role of carrying out vital research of global consequence and impact. In particular, I would like to recognize the efforts of Dr. Anya Waite, Dalhousie's Associate VP Research Oceans, and Scientific Director and CEO of Dalhousie's Ocean Frontier Institute, and Dr. Mike Smith, Acting Dean of Dalhousie's Faculty of Management. Thank you both, and thank you to your team. I just want to thank our Vice President, Research and Innovation, Dr. Alice Aiken, for her leadership in supporting and championing the application. Of course, I want to thank the Government of Canada for this extraordinary and fundamentally transformative investment in path-breaking climate research through the Canada First Research Excellence Fund. There is no question that bringing oceans into climate change research and strategy and policy discussions is indeed path-breaking. I also want to thank the province of Nova Scotia and Research Nova Scotia for their support and collaboration, and our many domestic and international private and public sector collaborators. Your support will expand and enhance opportunities for today's young scientists to become tomorrow's leading generation in ocean and climate science, maintaining Canada's global leadership in climate oceans research well beyond the 7 years of CFREF funding. Now, it is my pleasure to turn the podium over to Dr. Martin Fortier, who is the Deputy Vice Rector of Université Laval, to deliver remarks on behalf of the Rector of Université Laval, Sophie Damour.
Thank you, Dr. Harvey. I'm personally also very excited to be here as an oceanographer by training, but I'm here addressing you on behalf of Sophie. She's unfortunately, maybe for us, in Paris. And we couldn't get the video on time, so I'm here to read those comments on her behalf. So, bonjour tout le monde, bonjour à tous et toutes. On behalf of Université Laval, I'd first like to congratulate again the teams from Dalhousie, but also from UQAR, Memorial, and Laval, who put together this exceptional Transforming Climate Action proposal that I'll call TCA, we all call it TCA already, and secured this historic grant from the Government of Canada to its highly competitive Canada First Research Excellence Fund. While the crucial role of oceans in regulating global climate is no longer in question, it remains urgent to better understand the complex mechanisms behind this process to alleviate the consequences of a rapidly changing climate. To address this pressing global issue, TCA brings the expertise and the complementary world-class ocean science and infrastructure of our 4 universities, together with that of all of our partners from Canada and abroad, to improve climate change forecasting and develop adaptation strategies tailored to the needs of all impacted communities. The contribution of Université Laval will build on its long history of excellence in ocean science, and particularly in northern regions of Canada, where for decades now our institution has led major national and international Arctic research networks and programs such as Quebec Océan with Rimouski, ArcticNet, Sentinel North, that have allowed us to study and monitor changes in Canadian Arctic waters, including Baffin Bay and the Labrador Sea, which are obviously part of TCA. Through Amundsen Science and its partnership with the Canadian Coast Guard, our university also manages the scientific operations of the Canadian research icebreaker Amundsen and its pool of state-of-the-art scientific equipment. And as you know, the vessel will be a key platform for TCA researchers from Canada and abroad to access the North Atlantic. I'm particularly pleased to see that the program will allocate significant efforts and resources to work closely with Indigenous partners. Their direct participation in all aspects of TCA will be essential for the success of our program. For Université Laval, this partnership will be particularly rich in the Nunavut region and community of Qikiqtarjuaq, where we're now building a research station together with the community that will allow TCA researchers to access Baffin Bay year-round, including in the winter months. So the attainment of TCA rests on the foundation of excellence developed over the last decades by hundreds of professors, students, professionals, and partners, many are here today, from our respective institutions. To its transformative research, training, partnership, and innovation initiative, TCA will now serve as a unique incubator for the next generation of interdisciplinary experts and leaders that will ensure Canada's world-leading role in concerted ocean and climate science for decades to come. In closing, I'd like to thank the Government of Canada, obviously, for supporting this groundbreaking initiative, and once again, congratulate Dalhousie, Dr. Waite, and everybody involved. I personally know how much effort it is to put this project together, and reiterate Université Laval's full commitment to make the program a resounding success. And Sophie, elle nous souhaite une excellente réception aujourd'hui. So thank you, everybody. I had one job to do, I missed it. So I'd like now to introduce you by video an address from the presidents of Université du Québec à Rimouski and Memorial University. Thank you.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Quel beau moment aujourd'hui d'être réunis virtuellement ou en présence suite à cette annonce historique de 154 millions obtenus dans le cadre du programme Apogée. Le président Harvey a tout à l'heure très bien résumé l'essence du projet. Donc, pour ma part, je tiendrai à insister sur ces éléments qui ont fait la clé du succès. Premièrement, une union des forces de 4 universités partenaires reconnues à travers le Canada, à travers le monde pour leur force en océanographie, pour la lutte au changement climatique. Donc, la réunion de leur expertise est un élément de succès. Un autre élément de succès, évidemment, la confiance des partenaires, des nombreux partenaires ici et d'ailleurs autour de ce projet d'envergure qui feront en sorte de nous accompagner, mais qui seront réellement engagés dans la réalisation de la programmation de recherche. Donc, ça également, ça fait partie des clés du succès. Évidemment, derrière les universités, derrière les partenaires, ce sont avant tout des personnes. Donc, merci à toutes les personnes qui se sont impliquées pour l'élaboration de cette demande d'envergure, mais qui s'impliqueront au cours des 7 prochaines années dans la réalisation et qui feront en sorte que le succès rencontré lors du concours pour l'obtention d'une subvention se transforme en de multiples succès dans la réalisation de la programmation de recherche et des résultats qui en découleront, bref, dans la lutte au changement climatique. En terminant, je ne dois pas oublier évidemment de remercier le gouvernement du Canada, oui, pour nous soutenir financièrement, mais aussi dans ce souci, cette volonté d'assumer un leadership dans la lutte au changement climatique à travers la subvention de recherche dans ce domaine. Donc, merci à tous et à toutes et bonne fin de rencontre.
Bonjour, hello. I'm Neil Bowes, President of Memorial University. What a great day for Canada and our researchers. Congratulations to everyone on receiving this historic investment from the Canada First Research Excellence Fund for the Transforming Climate Action Programme. Memorial is incredibly proud to build on this success and continue our collaboration with Dalhousie and our partners. Together, we will lead scientific breakthroughs and provide critical insight into the ocean's role in climate change. As one of Canada's top 20 research institutions, Memorial will draw on our global strengths in ocean-related research as we contribute to this world-class programme. From oceanography to social justice to marine ecosystems, our scientists and scholars will improve our understanding of the Earth's most precious resource. Through this partnership, we will help mitigate climate change impacts on our world. Thank you to the Government of Canada for supporting this truly transformative initiative.
Well, as President Harvey and Bowes and Rectors Deschênes and on behalf of Demour Martin noted, transforming climate action promises to make Canada a global leader in ocean innovation solutions. So to dive a bit deeper and to get into some of the meat of the proposal, we're going to invite Dr. Anya Waite, Scientific Director of Transforming Climate Action and CEO of the Ocean Frontier Institute, who's going to be joined by Minister Fraser and Arnold Furlong, the President and CEO of Dartmouth Ocean Technologies, Inc., for a discussion on the critical role of federal funding to spur innovation in the ocean sector and beyond. If you can all come forward.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour, and so wonderful to have so many friends and colleagues here today, and the government leadership and university leadership here in the room. Very exciting times. So one of the great strengths of the Transforming Climate Action proposal was its innovation and commercialization strategy, and we're really hoping to pull that together for Canada. And I'd just like to acknowledge Eric Siegel, who was a real idea leader in pulling that together for us. So as we were going to hear from key researchers involved in the program, but let's highlight some of the economic potential first of this research program. I'd like to introduce here to my left the Honourable Sean Fraser. You've already heard from him, and Arnold Furlong to my left there, the CEO and President of Dartmouth Ocean Technology, one of our sort of, what should we say, homegrown and loved collaborators in the Dalhousie ocean research space. And Arnold's company is an industry partner for TCA, and we're developing innovative sensors for measuring ocean alkalinity and environmental DNA. So very exciting work being done across the bridge. So I'd like to start with a question for both of you, beginning with you, Minister Fraser. Dalhousie and our partners institutions are obviously super thrilled at the opportunity to contribute to Canada's real strategic economic priorities through innovation and targeted research. What inspires you most about this initiative?
One of the things that I find super exciting is that we don't have this idea that because we come from a small place we can't do big things. It's extraordinary to see our willingness to jump into a world-leading project from here in Nova Scotia. I grew up here. It's been home my entire life for about 250 years. My family's called this province home. And the reality is, if you rewind the clock, even 10 years, I don't think we would have had the confidence as a region to say that we can provide answers for the entire world from our own backyard. But there's been an awakening of the confidence of people who come from this province and people who've come to this province to say, why not us? We've got world-leading post-secondary education institutions. We have an extraordinary ecosystem of companies in the green tech sector that have emerged in the past decade. And we have the most extraordinary natural asset that I can imagine, the ocean off of our coast. The world is waking up to the need for solutions to climate change, and to the extent we can shine a light on what we learn in our own backyard and create opportunities for the rest of the world to help create a very different future than we're currently on track for is something I find incredibly exciting.
Thanks so much. And Arnold, what inspires you?
Well, as a Nova Scotia-born gentleman and a Dal alumni, I've been creating positive experiences here in Nova Scotia for the last 40 years in this sector. So it's always been a great pleasure for me to grow a team. It's more about the people than anything else, along with the partners that help us get there. So these days, the partners happen to be here at Dalhousie doing technology development. We're very excited to I'm very excited to have started a company about 3 years ago, just before a pandemic started, so it's been challenging. But now we're coming out of development, and the products are really gaining great traction around the world, and it's really fantastic to see us able to make paychecks. So that's what drives us.
Thank you. Minister Fraser, this initiative will also be supporting training, really, of the next generation of young people who can support strong climate action. What's your thought about the impact that this will have?
It's enormous. There's no other way to describe it. This is an enormous transformational project that's going to create opportunities for people for many generations. You know, we've got a pile of community college campuses here in Nova Scotia, an extraordinary number of universities, far more on a per capita basis than almost any other part of the country, most parts of the world, in fact. And despite the fact that we in Canada have the most highly educated workforce globally, we're nowhere near having the most productive. And I think it's in part driven by the fact that we haven't done as good a job historically as we could or should in pairing the commercial opportunities with the extraordinary research that's built into our institutions. What I see right now is an opportunity for us to create economic opportunities for people coming out of these research projects. You know, what I've watched over the course of my life was the trend that too many people who grew up in Nova Scotia will be familiar with, young people moving away to seek economic opportunities for themselves and their families. Look, I know I was one of them. I spent about 5 years in Alberta after I finished my own education to help pay off student loans. What I've seen over the past couple of years is there's actually more people, young people, moving into Nova Scotia than are leaving, more or less since the first time in my lifetime. It's not happening as a coincidence. It's happening because people are making big bets on Nova Scotia. Some of those bets are coming in the form of governments who are injecting capital into infrastructure or research projects. Some of them are coming from companies who are deciding to get a foothold here because they believe the future is going to be very bright. And some of it's coming from individuals at a family level who are deciding to move back home and place their bet that the opportunity for themselves and their families is better and brighter in Nova Scotia than literally anywhere else in the world. When I see the opportunity to avoid some of the cost of climate change, as I alluded to earlier, it gives me a lot of faith that we're trying to do the right thing for the planet, but we're coming to better understand that our climate policy is also inextricably linked to our economic policy. By providing the solutions to climate change, whether that's our investments in electric vehicles, whether that's investments in research in ocean and climate science, or whether we're developing new renewable energy generation. Everywhere I look in this province right now, there's economic opportunities that are stemming from people who are providing the solutions to climate change. This is the kind of thing that's going to create opportunities for more families to move back home or to move to Nova Scotia for the first time in large numbers. I think we're ready for this kind of growth. It's like nothing that we've seen in our lifetime, and the opportunity staring us in the face is more extraordinary than I could have possibly imagined when I first got into this business 7 years ago.
Thank you so much. Arnold, your company is a key partner on TCA. What difference is it going to make to your company and to the Canadian economy?
Well, I think it's going to allow us to grow the company, have more employees, and get some credentials here at home. My experience over the last 30 so years has been that we have to sell something in Singapore before we can even talk to DFO locally. That's starting to change a bit, but we are in fact selling our new technology that was developed with our Dalhousie partners around the world. We've got sales into Europe in the last 6 months, and pretty excited that this opportunity will allow us to bring our homegrown, best in the world technology back to the science lab and in the oceans. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for joining us today, and let's thank our panel members. I think we can really look forward to wonderful economic benefits from TCA going forward, and we look forward to learning from you and all of you into how can we build that even bigger than it is right now. So thank you so much.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So I'd like to invite the research panel to come and join us on stage. So as the panel is settling in, I'll just say that this work, Transforming Climate Action, this research program is truly interdisciplinary, and it marries considerable research strengths across Dalhousie, Université de Québec-Rimouski, Université Laval, and Memorial. And the outcomes of this research is going to deliver real benefits to Canada. So to give you a bit of a taste on how the innovative research will deliver those outcomes, we've assembled an esteemed panel from across the 4 institutions to provide a bit of an overview, just touching base on some of the key aspects and outcomes that they will be working to deliver. And keep in mind that there's almost 200 researchers, that's 200 principal investigators involved in this work. And that's only going to increase as we work with our international partners and broaden the discussion here regionally in Eastern Canada. So our panelists are, from the left, Dr. Mike Smith from Dalhousie, Geneviève Thérault from UQAR, Marcel Babin from Laval, and Helen Zhang from Memorial. And they're here to help us take on this rather mighty task. So we have three big themes. That's reducing uncertainty in how the ocean operates, mitigation of climate change, and equitable and just adaptation. And we'd like to touch very, very briefly on all three of those key themes. So let's start with Dr. Mike Smith on the left. He's a leading data scientist who's also acting dean of the Faculty of Management, and I'm privileged to say he's also deputy scientific director of the Ocean Frontier Institute and has been absolutely seminal in helping us move this proposal through and getting it off the ground. Mike, perhaps you can first describe that really interdisciplinary nature of Transforming Climate Action research program and how do sort of those transformation accelerators that we created, how are they structured to really translate the research into something strong and positive as an outcome?
Let me, in true academic fashion, start by ignoring your question and saying what I want to say, which is just to all the researchers and staff and partners and supporters and champions and cheerleaders that I see in the room, like, holy crap, we did it. Like, now we have to do this thing. It's so great to see many of you in person. Some of you have spent countless hours on Zoom town halls and collaboration and consultation, including my colleagues on stage, and it's great to see you here. And I know how much time and energy of you and yourselves you've put into this. And one of the things that brings me great joy about this project is the students who are going to be part of it. Literally hundreds of students will be able to take part in world-leading research as a result of this grant and the project that we've put together. And just to all of you who dedicated the last year to getting this off the ground and will dedicate the years ahead, like what an incredible and generous gift that you have given to those future students who right now are graduating high school worried about the world that they're entering and are going to come to one of our 4 partner institutions and change the world. Like, that is simply amazing. So thank you to you from them, I guess, in the future. To your question, well, one of the things that we realized is, look, all investment in research generates economic and social benefits broadly. I'll say that again. All investment in research generates social and economic benefits broadly. But what we knew is that the work that's happening in TCA on the climate crisis doesn't have time to ripple gently outward. We need to put this on a high-speed train and send it right to where it needs to be to have the right impact at the right time. And so when we're building our increased and improved understanding of the ocean, when we're reducing uncertainty in our models, when we're designing new sensors and new sensor platforms, when we're undertaking leading AI and data science research to broaden our understanding of some of the physical models that we have, when we're understanding how the ocean can uptake more carbon, when we're understanding how we need to reduce emissions, when we're understanding how communities are adapting to the changing climate around them and what coastal communities are going to do when they realize that the life that they live now might not be livable in the very near-term future, when we realize what we need to do on the education front, once we have this understanding in our labs and in our minds, we have to get it out there in the world. And you've heard about the innovation and commercialization piece, which is equipping our researchers and our students with the skills and excitement and passion to make what they're studying and learning applicable in the world through commercialization, through social innovation, through bringing those benefits directly to society. And that's one transformation accelerator, one high-speed rail line. Another is on the policy front. How do we get what we know out of our brains and into the brains of policymakers and decision makers and the governance systems, so that we're drawing on this new knowledge to build that understanding? How do we build this transformation accelerator? I saw Danny somewhere in this crowd, and Fanny's here too, fantastic. How does the work they're doing at UQAR across this whole project to connect what we know with Indigenous ways of knowing, to understand how our work is transformative and to accelerate that transformation? What do we do there? And finally, my love, which is the Data Transformation Accelerator, which says data is a tool for collaboration. We do not understand the ocean alone. That's why there's 4 banners up there. That's why there's 46 international and national partners who are part of this work. That's why there's 170 researchers. And data is one of the key backbone tools for how we collaborate, because we can't alone understand the ocean. We have to do it together. I'm done.
Thanks, Mike. That covered it very well. Thank you for answering my question. I'm going to turn next to Dr. Marcel Babin. Marcel, I'm wondering if you can describe to us how your work and the work of your colleagues in TCA in reducing the uncertainty of how the ocean operates will illuminate its role in influencing climate.
First, thank you for the invitation, and I'm really happy to say hi also to my dear colleagues and friends from Dalhousie, but also from Rimouski and from St. John's. And I'd like to tell you how happy I am about the fact that we will work together in the frame of this amazing project. These 4 universities, it's quite an achievement, and it's really, really exciting to be involved in that. So let me first start with saying simply that the ocean is a huge component of the Earth system. It's quite obvious for anyone. It does affect the trajectory of this Earth system in a context of climate change, and through different ways, by absorbing excess heat, but also by absorbing around 40% of the, removing the excess of CO2 from the atmosphere to the ocean, this CO2 which is produced by human activity. So it's quite obvious that to be able to predict the trajectory of our Earth system under different scenarios of climate change, we have to understand very well how the ocean works, how it affects the climate, and how it is affected by the climate. And we believe that today we don't have sufficient knowledge to make good predictions on those trajectories. And these predictions are essential for policy making, for designing adaptation and mitigation strategies. And why is that? Where are those gaps? There are many of the physical, chemical, biological processes that we don't understand well enough. And the ocean affects the climate through, for instance, removing CO2, but it is also very much affected by climate. For instance, the increase in ocean temperature modify the chemistry of the ocean, its capacity to pump CO2 from the atmosphere. It affects living organisms. So you have this dual relationship between climate and ocean that we have really to address and understand very well. TCA will provide the data that are necessary to achieve, to fill these gaps in terms of knowledge. And it will provide those data using different approaches, different technologies, existing ones, new ones, and a very important system, which is the Northwest Atlantic, including the St. Lawrence River and Baffin Bay, which connects with the Arctic. The system is a very important system in the world ocean. It partly controls global circulation. It's one of the major pumps for CO2 in the ocean. And the change that we are observing presently may affect this capacity of the ocean to buffer climate change on our planet. And the last thing I wanted to say is also that we need that knowledge to design mitigation strategies, for instance, approaches to remove carbon in a sensible way. We want to make sure that the new ideas will provide more benefits than the opposite. And for that, we need more knowledge.
Thank you so much, Marcel. I think I'm going to go to Geneviève next, if that's okay. Geneviève, chaire de recherche en éducation à l'environnement et au développement durable au UQAR, and she's focused on engaging young people with the work of transforming climate action to increase impact. So I guess the question is, exactly, can you describe how your work will ensure that young people are empowered? Pouviez-vous décrire comment votre travail garantira que les jeunes gagnent les informations de TCA pour prendre des décisions informées et pour pouvoir changer?
Merci, Anya. Merci de me permettre de m'exprimer en français, si vous le permettez, sur la terre de mes ancêtres acadiens. Donc, très contente d'être avec vous. En fait, à cette chaire de recherche en éducation à l'environnement et au développement durable, on réalise différentes recherches qui visent avant tout à accroître le sentiment de pouvoir agir des jeunes. Puis, c'est la mission qu'on s'est donnée et dans le cadre de ce nouveau programme de recherche transformation du climat par l'action, ce qu'on souhaite, c'est de mener des actions éducatives et des recherches qui vont stimuler le pouvoir d'action des jeunes. Puis bien sûr, ça peut se faire de plusieurs façons. On sait qu'à travers les programmes scolaires, autant au primaire qu'au secondaire, au Québec ou dans les provinces maritimes, il y a un espace possible pour faire de l'enseignement des questions environnementales, pour traiter des changements climatiques ou des enjeux liés aux océans, mais ça se fait quand même assez timidement. Puis la manière dont on le fait également pourrait être repensée à partir d'approches pédagogiques qui sont plus porteuses d'engagement chez l'élève, en faisant appel, par exemple, à des partenariats avec les milieux d'éducation non formels, les organismes, les musées, les parcs nationaux, qui font déjà des choses fort intéressantes en cette matière-là, qui pourraient venir travailler avec le milieu scolaire à enrichir les connaissances des élèves, les amener à développer des nouvelles compétences autour des enjeux environnementaux, les amener à développer leur esprit critique, leur créativité, leur capacité à analyser, à réfléchir sur ces enjeux, puis à saisir aussi la complexité des questions environnementales, la profondeur, la part d'incertitude aussi qu'il y a à travers les différents enjeux environnementaux qu'on peut aborder à l'école. Donc, pour moi, ce sont les manières que j'entrevois pour stimuler le pouvoir d'agir des jeunes à travers les recherches-actions, les recherches collaboratives qu'on mène avec le milieu scolaire. Mais on réalise également à la chaire, et le programme Apogée Canada va peut-être nous permettre d'intensifier cette action-là. On développe également des activités éducatives à destination du milieu scolaire. On en travaille 2 présentement qui sont sur le point d'être finalisées avec des enseignantes du milieu scolaire qui vont permettre d'aborder, entre autres, de manière assez vulgarisée, les résultats issus des derniers rapports du GIEC avec des jeunes d'environ 16 ans dans les classes de sciences et technologies, et une autre activité destinée à un public plus jeune qui s'intéresse à croiser mathématiques et changement climatique pour le début du secondaire, pour amener les jeunes à développer des connaissances, développer des compétences en mathématiques, mais également susciter des prises de conscience, puis éventuellement agir sur ces enjeux-là. Donc, ce ne sont que quelques-uns des exemples.
Merci. Merci bien. And our last speaker is Dr. Helen Zhang, who's a Canada Research Chair in Coastal Environmental Engineering at Memorial University. And Helen, you're focused on how we can leverage the ocean's natural ability to absorb carbon to reverse the tide of climate change. So can you describe a little bit the economic and climate impact opportunities that exist for ocean carbon removal?
Okay, thank you, Dr. White. First I want to say it was such a great honor and pleasure to be involved in this project in the past year, and I'm so excited and look forward to continue working with the peers in the great TCA teams in the following years. So as Dr. Waite mentioned, I will be in this TCA initiative. I will be working on the ocean-based climate change mitigation scene. So the ocean carbon dioxide removal has represent a massive opportunity for climate solution and the investment in the great exciting new technologies. So in our mitigation theme, so we have like a broad and diverse, expertise of the excellent researchers, and they have proposed a series of those ocean carbon dioxide removal technologies. And some of the technology are actually based on the natural abiotic and the biotic approaches to accelerate the carbon capture capacity of the global ocean. And some other technologies actually try to identify the multi-sector climate impact of the ocean industries and the agriculture industries, and then try to generate the kind of carbon capture and storage solutions, as well as the ocean energy solutions. So for example, like in terms of my own research, at Memorial, I found the Coastal Environmental Research Laboratory. And this laboratory actually targets the development of environmental biotechnologies, for example, like the microalgae-based carbon sequestration. And I also worked in the Northern Region Persistent Pollution Control Laboratory, we call it NRPOP, at Memorial. So that lab actually has a very close working relationship with ocean industries. So we've tried to achieve the blue ocean economy by developing some carbon neutral treatment technologies to manage the waste generated by the ocean industry, and to recover the resources and to reduce the emissions. So during the R&D and for all those activities, and I realized it is very important that we need to ensure those technologies works at the lockstep with the ocean researchers and the ocean observation expert, so that we can understand the ocean baseline in carbon intake. In addition, I realized we need not only focus on addressing technical issues regarding the technology development, but also try to answer some questions like if the technologies can be scalable at the realistic cost, so that in terms of carbon reduction, so that eventually the output will result in the practical actions for the industries. So in terms of all those kind of impact of kind of we call it leadership of Canada in terms of these areas. I realized that the Canada innovation in this area is already well on the road, but to keep leading in these areas, we really need to collaborate broadly. And I believe that the TCA will represent such opportunities. For example, we will have the chance to work with the peers with very broad expertise, like environmental engineering, ocean science, microbiology, chemistry, data science, social science, process engineering, so all the areas, and collaborate with the partners and the stakeholders. And I believe the TCA will have the capacity to bring together the very top experts and the key partners worldwide. And I feel that through all those collaborations, those activities will definitely try to build Canada's profile on the research excellence, and also try to eventually achieve Canada's global innovation leadership in the climate action. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank all our panelists once again, and what a great overview touching base on the key themes and across all four of our research organizations. And I'll just ask you to stay there for 1 minute while I say a few more thank yous before I hand back to Alice. So where to even start with the thank yous here? I think Mike did a wonderful job thanking the overall research community, so I won't do that again other than to say your heavy lift made mine light. But I'd like to thank a few people who are in the room today. And that is one person who has shown the kind of leadership that has helped us be where we are today. And that's Catherine Blewett, who is with us today in her capacity as Deputy Minister of Economic Development for Canada. But in the early days when she was working with us at OFI, we had the Ocean Frontier Institute had a workshop on how can we bring our research on carbon in the ocean together to serve Canada. That was the actual focus of our workshop. And she was watching from behind, and we were talking about how the ocean absorbed carbon and absorbed heat and how critically important it was. And she said to me, policymakers don't know this. The public doesn't really know it. And we all looked at her and said, oh, you've got to be joking, because all researchers know that the ocean controls climate. And so it was the beginning of a conversation that really has taken us right here to this moment today when we were successful. So I'd just like to thank that wonderful, the big brain, big heart approach from the back of the room that has shown so much leadership and taught us so much. And there's not too many more. I think there's another 4, so just bear with me. I'd also like to thank Ian Stewart, who is not able to be here today, but he's president of the National Research Council of Canada. And at critical moments, he gave us leadership, encouragement, and resources to move this conversation forward. And without him, we actually wouldn't be also where we are today. I'd also like to thank Alice, our Vice President, Research Innovation, who's been a tremendous source of encouragement, support, and her team has given us a lot of support over the last year, so thank you for that. The very last person I'd like to thank is Mike. He came on board just when we were starting this conversation, and it was a big ask, and I said to him, I want to do things bottom up. I want to bring everyone along with us. We want to have those conversations starting from the ground. We want to hear from the social scientists. How do we do that? And Mike came on board and said, I share your vision, let me help. And to be honest, together we have really constructed a process by which every single researcher at Dalhousie who wanted to be involved at this was. And that has made a huge difference. I'm going to add one last comment, and I'd like to thank Danny Dumont and Guillaume Saint-Onge, because way back in December 2021, when the call came out for the CFREF proposals, I got a call from UQAR saying, hey, what if we collaborated between Quebec and Atlantic Canada? And as soon as they said this, we immediately realized what a great idea it was. And again, here we are today. So for all those of you who've given us support and help along the way, and now to see the enthusiasm of us all coming together to launch this program, I thank you very much.
All right. Almost there. Listen, we need to add one massive thank you to that list, and that's to Anya, who's been a tireless advocate, leader, and force of nature behind transforming climate action. Anya, your vision to draw together all the key stakeholders in ocean research across Dalhousie and our partner universities was nothing short of inspired, and watching you implement it and moving forward continues to be extraordinarily inspirational. I would really like to lead a round of applause for Anya, Mike, Danny, the entire team who pulled this together. And while you're all standing, you have to humor me. I need to commemorate this moment. Woo! All right. I'd really be remiss, please sit down for 2 more seconds. I'd really be remiss if I didn't thank the team who helped pull this together today, specifically Bronwyn Andrews from Government Relations, Peter Foster and Greg Hanna from OFI, Gina Day, Jesse Furs, and Andrew Riley from my team, and to the two leaders who oversaw every detail, Laura Hines-Jenkins from Government Relations and Martha Smith-Brilliant from my team. You all went over and above, and thank you very much for all the work you put into today. So thank you to our partners in government and our colleagues from partner institutions who came here to help share in this celebration, and everyone who joined us here today. I'd like to invite you all to stay in the atrium and continue celebrating at the reception. During the reception, students and technicians will be on hand to demonstrate some of the equipment that'll be used in the research in transforming climate action. Members of the media are invited to connect with our comm staff if you'd like an interview. Alors, encore une fois, merci à tous. Wela Lin, thank you, and enjoy the reception. Yeah, if you want to grab Frank and Anya and the ministers.